Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to Diary of an Olympic Triathlete. We're now in week 13 of this video series, and once again, I've missed the Tuesday deadline or the Tuesday update date by 2 days. It's now Thursday. This is basically turning into a Thursday series, and you know what? We might just roll with that because once again, it just got late for me on Tuesday, and then Wednesday was super hectic. So now it's Thursday at about 6 p.m., and I'm just sitting down to make this video. So I apologize to the three adoring fans out there who are watching this. But anyway, here we are with the update from this week. How things been going? I'm going to give you guys a bit of a rundown on the race. We had a race last Friday, so that's the biggest thing. And then also just a couple of other general updates now going into this week and next week. So first off, how did the race go? That's the biggest thing. The race went very well, surprisingly well. If you guys watched last week's video, you remember that I was kind of preparing, figuring out, what's my pacing going to look like, what could be a time I'm going for. Before that race, my personal best in the mile was a 6:40. And that on its own was an insane personal best because 2 weeks ago in the time trial, which you guys saw on the channel, I did it in 6:55. Okay. I was looking for sub 7 minute mile. I did it in 6:55. 1 week later, I did a mile in 6:40. That is insane. I remember just crossing the finish line and being like, I do not believe that this is the time I just got. Like that is ridiculous. I definitely believed I had the potential for it, but I had no idea. And also, as you guys know, my goal for this summer is a 6 minute mile, which I've thought is a very ambitious goal. And to be honest, I was going into this race this Friday and I was thinking I'm not really sure what the point of doing this race is because I was like, I did my time trial. That had a clear purpose. That was set my baseline for the season. I did the mile last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago at this point. It's like now the timeline's getting crossed. I did the mile like the week after that, just because I got invited. I was like, it'll be a fun event. So I'll just kind of see, how I'm doing. And I set a massive PB. And now I was like, okay, I'm doing another race a week after that when I've just come off a massive PB. Chances of me improving my time this week are pretty low at this point because my assumption with me setting the 6:40 at that original mile was my 6:40 was actually like my current capacity. Like what I said was like a 6:55 was that it was a time trial. I ran pretty slow because I wasn't really confident. So whatever, 6:40 is where I'm at right now, which means I came into this track meet thinking I'm just going to run another 6:40 pretty much. Like I can't expect too much improvement from 1 week to another. But in the video I was saying, okay, in theory it's possible I could run a 6:30 because I've been training a bit faster, whatever. But I was not getting my hopes up. Like legitimately, I'm like, I just did a race, like the race that I did, 2 weeks ago. I keep getting the timelines crossed at this point because we're talking about the time trial was 3 weeks ago. I think I said 2 weeks. The time trial was 3 weeks ago. Then we had the race 2 weeks ago, and now we had this track meet. We had one track meet 2 weeks ago. Now this track meet last week, so 1 week ago, right? Okay, now we're cleared up. Anyway, so I did the time trial. I did the first track meet, and now the second track meet. I'm like, I just did a track meet, so I've already had the track meet experience, which is what I went to the first race for. And I've already set a good time. So I don't know what other time I'm going to set. The only thing that was new about this track meet was that I was also doing the 800 meters because the first track meet I went to was just for the mile. Like it was just a mile race. The one last Friday, though, had a bunch of events alongside the mile. And so I was like, okay, it'll be an enjoyable, environment because it's a pretty big meet from what I could tell. Like there were quite a few people there, a lot of events. They were doing the 100, 200, 400, like all these events aside from the mile. So also it'd be like, okay, I get to see some pretty fast people. I get to watch different events as well as be able to do this event that I want to do. And I get to do two of them. So I was like, okay, it's going to be fun. So we show up there to the starting line. We set off. Things set off pretty hard. I remember like the first 100, I came out pretty hard out of the gate. And then I settled into my pace. And I just never felt like I felt good in the first lap and a half, I would say. Starting the second half of the second lap, I was just not feeling good. And the rest of the race, I was not feeling good. I was not really focused on my pacing. My watch, as I'd done in my previous races, I just put it on the heart rate screen. And I was like, all right, we're just going to rock with this. and just look at my heart rate because I was trying not to focus, like you're trying not to obsess too much over the pacing. And the thing is that this race, they didn't have a clock out to show your time. Like it was just someone reading the splits off. And the thing is, I don't know what running does to your brain, but like it just makes it so that your language processing is not there. So they were reading my splits off, but half the time I didn't even hear them. And the other half, I processed what was coming in, but I didn't even really think of, am I on pace? Am I not on pace? In general, I thought I was not on pace, was kind of what I was understanding. So I was like, I'm definitely headed for just another 640 or probably slower because I was getting, further in the race. Like in the second lap, I kicked it up a little bit because I was like, okay, that's when I slowed down the week before. And the third lap, I tried to kick it a little bit, but I was definitely not feeling good. In the fourth lap, I was like, there's no way I can maintain this pace for another 400 meters. I remember I come around the 200. My dad was behind me. He's trying to like motivate me. He's like, all right, Jonah, you got to keep going with whatever. And that was the first thing that was weird to me was that my dad was behind me because in the previous race, he'd been behind me for about a lap. And then he just kind of gone ahead because he ended up finishing 30, or not 30 seconds. He finished 10 seconds ahead of me. So I assumed he was just going to do that again because I was like, okay, if I'm going at the same pace I went last week, then him going at the same pace he went last week should mean that he should probably just kind of gas me in the last couple laps. But like he was sticking behind me, so I was like, either this is like a good dad moment, or he's gassed today, or I don't know what's going on. Um, but anyway, keep going. He's trying to be like, hey, try to catch up to that guy. I was not catching anybody. That's the one thing is this field was pretty fast. But anyway, so I get to the final 100. Like I tried to kind of run like sprint on the final 200, but there was nothing in the tank. So I get to the final 100, and then my dad starts sprinting. So that activated my kick, which my kick was ridiculous. I did not think that was in there, but it was. So I started sprinting, and of course, this is what's happened to me in the final 100 of every mile I've run, which is that knowledge of how painful it's going to be once I get to the end of it. But just like being like, let's not think about that for right now because we need to get a good time, and then we'll think about the pain once we're there. So I'm taking off. I'm sprinting. I crossed the finish line right before my dad. Officially, though, the official time said that he crossed before me. But I know, and I have video evidence that I beat him. So there we go. And according to him, that was him doing his best effort because it turns out I crossed the finish line in 6:23. What the frick? Like I legitimately do not have words for that. Like I remember I paused my watch. I didn't hear what they said. Well, I just heard a 3. And so I assumed they had said 6:43. And I was like, okay, not as good as last week, but like it's been okay race. I had a good time, nice weather, cool people. My mom's here watching. I got to race with my dad and my brother. Basically I'm looking for the other because every race you got to go with multiple goals, right? You got to have your A, B, C goal. My A goal was like, let's just have a good time. Like legitimately, that was like goal 1 was like have a good time. My B goal was set some PBs, and my C goal was beat my dad or my brother. According to the official times, I had not completed the C goal, and I thought I hadn't completed the B goal. So I was like, at least I had a good time, right? But then I looked down at my watch, and it said 6:30 on it, or 6:23 on it, and I was like, what? Did this glitch or something? Like, did it cut out 20 seconds of that? Because how was that faster? Yeah, it turns out I ran pretty dang fast. It turns out I also figured out that a split that I had thought I was just on pace, I was actually like 15 seconds ahead of my pace. So that's pretty cool. That was in the where was it? It was the halfway point in the race. I thought I was supposed to be at 3:30. I thought I was supposed to be at 3:15. I was actually supposed to be at 3:30, but I was at 3:15. Like I crossed it 15 seconds before when I thought I needed to. So anyway, point being, I was going pretty quickly. And then of course the final kick did me some favors as well. So I finished with a massive PB again. I dropped 17 extra seconds off, which is beyond what I even thought was possible. Like I thought maybe 10, but that seemed ambitious because I'm like, it's just improved by 15. I was like, 17 seconds. Nope. We're now at 6:23, which that means that this track meet has actually been hugely important for the following weeks that are about to come because like, and that's why we do the races though. That's why we do the races because I would have had no idea how good I was getting and how quickly if I had not done this race. If I hadn't done both the races actually, because each race made it so that I raised the bar for myself. Sorry if the camera just shook. I was adjusting or I was cleaning off my computer screen. Because I filmed these on a webcam, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that before. Anyway, so what was I saying? Right. So I just, each of these races were so important because they made me realize how good I was, or how good I was getting and what I was capable of, because I literally did not know that for myself. And I think that's part of it, is like, if I had only done the time trial at the beginning of the summer, and then I have this big race coming up in mid July, if I had only been looking at those two, it's probable that I would have gotten to that race in mid July and probably run slightly faster than I ran the time trial. Like, I might have run that race in a 6:40 and thought, okay, good improvements, if, 15 seconds in a month and a half, which in most cases, that's a very normal improvement to have. So I would have been happy with that. But the thing is, I would not have been reaching my full potential, because I wouldn't have realized what I was capable of. Because really, all this has been is like, I needed to pace myself ambitiously enough. And that's what I've done, is I paced myself ambitiously enough in this race, because, to be honest, I was going more based on feel than I was based on any timing. Like, I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't looking at my watch. I wasn't really listening to the splits they were giving us. I was just going based off of, okay, this feels like my fast mile pace, and this also feels sustainable. And while I didn't know the first lap I was going the right pace, because I remember I heard the split was like 140. They said 140, and I was like, okay, we're going good, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. And I just kind of kept my legs moving at the same speed, kept that same breathing, that same cardio, and it worked. It worked. So I don't know, like that just sets us up, because that means there is a massive opportunity, because there's this race in my city, in the city of Pittsburgh, in kind of early to mid July, that I'm just not even sure. Like, I could just say the name on here, couldn't I? You guys will find out the name later. But it is a massive mile race here that, like, there are elites that race in it. It's a huge event. Like, I've been racing it. I think the first time I raced it, the first time I raced it was only a couple years ago. But I've been going for a long time, because my dad has raced it a lot, and I have other family that are runners, so they've raced it a lot. Like, I've sat on the sidelines and watched, and it's a huge event. Like, they do a ton of heats of it, because they have, like, you start with, like, there's a general one, there's a kids heat, then there's like different levels of like speed. There's a master's heat, and then they have elite runners that are coming. The guys that are running like 3 minute miles, or whatever, 3.5 minute miles. The crazy good ones. Then they come in and they run as well. And so it is genuinely, like, it is a massive event. And there was a small part of me that, when I started this goal of the 6 minute mile at the beginning of the summer, I thought that was like, I was like, it would be nice and poetic to, at this event I've been watching since I was a pretty young child, this event that I ran a couple years ago with my little brother, and in that event I got a 7:30 mile. By the way, I went back and looked up the results. It'd be kind of poetic to get my 6 minute mile at this event, but at the same time, that's very ambitious, because I was approved to start training at the beginning of May, and to go from weeks of just slow runs to all of a sudden I'm running a 6 minute mile when I'm only capable of a 7 minute mile at the time. Like, that's a lot to ask. Like, in 2.5 months, like, that's really too much to ask. But we have quickly seen that is not too much to ask, because I've gone from my baseline being a 7 minute mile to my baseline being a 6:20 mile. And now we have 4 weeks left. We have this week. So I guess, now we're kind of down to 3, because we have the rest of this week, next week, the week of the 4th of July, and then the race is the week after that. And that is a crazy thing to think about. Genuinely, that, like, there is a real chance here that I could cross that line and have a 6 minute mile at this massive event and on top of that, because of the heat structure, like, my dad will be able to be watching, my brother will be watching, because they won't have to run in the same heat as me. And then, like, it'll just be a big celebration. It's going to be in a central city, or a central block of the city. It's just going to be a big moment for me if I'm able to do that, which I really think I can. Like, I'm continuing to train my ass off. My volume's just going up and up and up. And I'm more cross training, getting some long runs in. We'll talk about that in a second, but it is really possible. And that, for me, is just a really exciting prospect, is like, I could get that 6 minute mile there in front of all those people. Like, that's like the 1 mile race where you're going to have a massive cheering crowd, is that one. where you're going to have all the fanfare and all of it is going to be right there. And so it's just exciting to think about it. It's also weird to think that a couple years ago I ran the race and it was like, well, we're just doing this because. And now it's like this massive deal, but it just shows times change, people change, and running has gone from something that, like, when I started this channel, I didn't even do it, to something that matters to me so much that I'm like, I need this. This is like objectives for the summer. This is like a main one. Is like I go to this race and I do what I need to get done. I get done. Right? How does language work? I do the business. Is that how you say it? Get business done. One of those things. I actually have a desire to like edit together a little hype video and put it on the channel for like Jonah's 6-minute mile attempt. We'll see if I get around to doing it. Figure it out. Also, there's a photo of me that I have that I might need to show at some point, which is me when I ran my 7:30 mile at this same exact race, and I look like I'm dying. So I'm probably going to look the exact same this year. Just I'll be running a little bit faster, or a lot bit faster, I'm hoping. But yeah, so that's how we're doing right now. Very exciting stuff. Also, the 800-meter race. This is a secondary thing, but so we ran the 800 meters. I was very tired. Like quads were killing me. Cardio, I was all right. But yeah, quads were killing me. I ended up beating both my brother and my dad. So cha-ching, got that goal done. And I did it in 8:49. Not 8:49, 2:49. 8:49 would be very slow. 2:49, which is also not insanely fast for an 800, but like for me, it's pretty fast. It was definitely faster than I'd put a seed time of 3 minutes. So 2:49, very happy with that. I caught my brother on a final sprint at the end, and it was very gratifying moment, I will say, because it's been a couple of years since I beat him in a race, because he's a very good runner at this point. So it was a nice little moment. Anyway, so that was the event, the track meet this weekend. Chances are I won't run another 800 for a while because I'm focused on the mile, but there's a chance I could do another time trial, just see how fast I can get in the 800 meters. And it was definitely a race where like I was tired. I remember coming around the first lap and I was just like, could this not be 400? Could we just be done now? Like, I was like, I really have to run another lap of this, because 2 laps at the same time is very short, but it could be very long if you're going at the wrong pace or the right. I mean, if you're going at the right pace, it should be painful for most of it. So it was painful. It was very painful. Anyway, so that was the 800 meters. So what else do we have? This weekend, we're doing a 5K. I'm actually wearing a shirt from another 5K I did, the Fame Fun, which was a couple weeks ago. And it was, the shirts, I gotta say, I appreciate the shirts as a souvenir, but some of them are not very attractive looking. Like this one's kind of ugly, I gotta say. Like it's like the red with like this logo. I don't love the logo, to be honest. I don't know. It is what it is. Thank you to the folks from the Fame Fun Run. I appreciate y'all for the 5K and for the course, but I don't know, like, I don't know what to say. Y'all might need to work on the shirt design for next year for the aesthetic a little bit. But anyway, so doing a 5K this weekend, which really I'm not racing it because it's a very hilly course. It's the first trail race I'm going to be doing, so I'm excited for that. But it's one with a whole lot of elevation change. I've done an easy run on this trail that we're going to be doing. And it is pretty much straight up, straight down, and it's an out and back 5K where the out part is us going downhill and the back is us coming uphill. So if you want a race that's going to be painful, this is the right one. I don't know how I'm going to do this because I just finished a race like this 5K. The one that I did a couple weeks ago was the reverse of it. Was uphill in the front half and downhill in the back half, which meant you're tired, but you get a downhill. So I actually felt pretty good in the last mile of the race compared to this race is going to be the complete opposite of that, where you're tired, screw you, you got to go uphill now. So I've actually been talking to my dad. There's a potential that there may be some walking in this race. Because tactically, when you're tired, it legitimately might make more sense to just walk up the hill than to try to run up it. I can say doing the easy run, it was hard for me to keep my heart rate low when I was going up the hills. Like I remember seeing it spiking to it went from 140 to 160 once I got on the hills. So that's something to just keep in mind. We're not going for time. We're just going to have a good time. But not for, I'm not expecting any PBs or anything. We're basically taking this as a tempo workout, but with a lot of other people and a t-shirt and I think a finisher medal. We'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And so that's this Saturday. And that's basically part of our workout plan. So that counts as my tempo run for this week. And so that means that like Friday is normally when I have my tempo run, but now instead it's going to be Saturday. So out from that, how's training been this week? Let's talk about that. Training. So I started Monday was my long run, first long run I've done. So I've gone to now 5 days officially. I'm on the plan doing 5 days a week of training. I'm doing a long run, interval session, tempo session, and then 2 that are a choice between either easy runs or cross training. So I did on Monday, I did my long run. That was about 4.5 miles. And here in Pittsburgh, we got a heat wave coming in that, oh baby, it is bad. Like it was hot, it was humid. I've been getting up earlier, but even then that didn't help that much. Like I got up at like 9:30 or like a bit before 10. So I went out around 10 and it was so bad. Like I cannot imagine if I was on my old schedule getting up at like 1 p.m., it would have not been possible if we're being honest. It was a problem. Anyway, so yeah, I was going out for the run. I got back looking like I just finished swimming, which speaking of swimming, we're going to talk about that in a second. But I got back to the house. I was just soaked. I was so tired. And then the worst part, the strength training, that's another thing I need to talk about. Strength training has been kicking my behind, for lack of better expression. I'm trying not to curse because that's one thing that I do too much in real life. So I'm trying to be clean mouthed here, but I don't know if it fits my aesthetic, to be honest, to be like, it kicked my behind. But anyway, it did not go well. Like, I don't know, strength training, it's been hard just to stay motivated with it, to be honest, because I've been doing it the same day as my other hard runs. The idea being I do a hard run, I do the hard strength session. That way I keep my hard days hard, and then my easy days can be nice and easy. That way, cross training day is nice and low impact, not too much effort. And then also for my brain, it's a break. That's the other important one. I've been trying to figure out if that's the right strategy because I've been reading about some other plans, and some other plans put your strength and conditioning on the same day as easy runs. So like you have your off days that are, your full rest, and then you kind of are balancing. Because I do feel like kind of an injury risk potential if I'm doing an interval session and then a weight session on the same day. Like I'm just not sure. If there's any people in the comments who have knowledge about this, I need to kind of consult with them. But I could say for me mentally, it means that, I have like 2 days a week that I know are going to be mentally challenging because they're days where I have strength sessions. But apart from that, then it's smooth sailing for the rest of the week because I did that session on Monday, it was really hard to just get my behind down to the gym and do the strength session. But then after that, it was good because Tuesday I took Tuesday off. Wednesday, yesterday, I did a training session, and I actually replaced one of the strength days now with a hill repeat or a hill sprint day. Because I've heard that hill sprints are also good strength. They obviously have different benefits. They're beneficial in a different way, but it's kind of debated at this point if it's better as a runner to do hill repeats or do weightlifting. And let's be honest, I like doing hill sprints a lot more. Like this was my first time doing them and I loved them. Like honestly, I could feel the burn, but also just felt like good. It felt productive. It was really just like, I felt good going up the hill. I was doing the session with my dad. It was like legitimately like a good feeling routine to do. So I think I'm going to keep doing it, to be honest, because I liked how it felt. It didn't hurt too much. And it even gets you a little extra aerobic benefit. And the idea is in theory that as a runner, it's better to do hill sprints than weightlifting, or at least like it has more benefit because you're doing the running motion. So you're getting like, if you want, because they say when you lift, you're supposed to do compound lifts that mimic, your running muscles and stimulate running muscles. Well, what better way to stimulate your running muscles than running? Am I right? So in theory, that's how the hill sprint should work. So what I want to do from now on is 1 day a week I do a weightlifting session, and then 1 day a week I do a hill sprint. And that way I'm getting the benefit of both. And I'm getting the strength, because really hill sprints, they say you can only really do them once a week. So that way I'm still getting the strength work twice a week. I'm getting them in different ways. And the strength day, I'm doing heavy weights. I'm doing, good hard workout. And on my hill repeat day, the one thing is I'm still doing planks. Like I've started doing planks to work on my core. So I'm doing like the hill repeats, and then I'm doing a separate workout to just work my core, either planks or I found another core workout that I like doing. So, um, but either way, making sure that I'm a balanced athlete. And then my goal is, I'm doing this just for the summer pretty much, because once I get to college, I have a half marathon I'm looking at. And once I start that, I want to stop doing the lifting altogether and just do hill repeats for my strength. Like my goal is have enough strength build up that I can just do hill repeats and be okay with that, or hill sprints, because hill sprints are said to be the best for your strength. The hill repeats, which are longer but lower intensity, they're also said to be good, but they're more of an aerobic thing than they are a strength thing. They're a bit more of a balance, versus hill sprints are like much closer to weightlifting in terms of, you're getting that intensity, that strength in there. Um, anyway, so Wednesday, yeah, I did the hill sprints. That was at night. In the morning, I did a 12x4 interval workout, which was really hard. I was doing it at 7-minute pace. I was also doing it with my dad. So with my dad, we did 2 workouts yesterday, but it was very hard. It was very difficult, but it was given to us because my dad knows a running coach who he gave us a plan now leading up to this mile race that should get us prepared so that I can run 6-minute pace at that race. So we're trusting the process, trusting Coach Dave. But yeah, it was a hard workout, but it was said to boost my aerobic endurance. The one thing is my running form still needs some work. I'm still working on it. I mentioned in previous videos, I have kind of a duck feet effect where my feet kind of splay out. I've also found, or this has been commented to me, that my feet are crossing the center line when I'm running. Sometimes we're like, when you run, normally when you're walking, you have one foot on this side, one foot on this side. When I'm running, my feet are kind of doing this, like where they kind of go across. And I actually noticed it because I had some red marks on my sock. And that came from the fact that my foot was knocking against the sock and then, leaving red chalk from the track on it, or red like dye from the track on my sock. So like I would never feel it while I was running, but according to my dad, like he could see that I was doing that, like kind of across the center line. And so that's a lot of issues that I need to fix in my running form. And we kind of had the idea that why don't I go see a PT, like a physical therapist, to try and work some of this stuff out, because I've been trying to work on it through my strength days and, looking at videos and stuff like that. But my problem is I just lack confidence that the exercises I'm doing are working. And I've kept changing the exercises. And so I think it would be good if I had a physical therapist look at my running form and be like, okay, do these things to fix what you're doing. Like, who could see the specific problems that I have, because I also don't know if the videos that I'm looking at are meant to address my problem or if I have the wrong videos, stuff like that. So we're going to see if I can get in with a physical therapist and try to start adjusting some of those things, because I already noticed yesterday after my first workout, kind of a knee soreness on my right knee, which I think part of that is just a lot of mileage on my legs. But the other part is that having the bad running form has meant I'm more injury prone. So these are things that it's best to improve them now, because it will make me more efficient. It will make me faster. But then also I don't want to be getting injured. But yeah, it is true that I've increased my mileage a lot, because like the long run I did 4.5 miles. And then yesterday I did 4 miles in the first workout and 2 miles with the hill sprint. So that's 6 miles. So I've already done 10 this week, which last week I didn't even do 10. Or I think maybe I did 10 last week, but that's it. So over the course of 3 days, I've done the same mileage I did last week. So obviously I'm not a high mileage person in general. I'm trying to increase that. I'm trying to get better at it. And I've actually noticed like there's some pains I used to be having that are going away, because I think I'm getting more used to the mileage. My muscles are adapting a bit more. But this week I'll be doing more cross training is the plan. I was actually going to train today, but I decided not to, because my watch was giving me, after yesterday, 48 hours of recovery recommended. So I was like, okay, let's not poke the bull there, or poke the bear in terms of my body. Like I got up this morning and my knee was still sore. So I'm like, okay, let's not push things. So what I'll be doing is I'm taking today off. Tomorrow I'm going to try and swim, which, I need to talk about that. So we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to cross train tomorrow. Saturday's the race. We're going to do that. Sunday, I'm going to cross train again. And that either is going to be a swim or a bike. And then Monday, we're back to intervals and getting at it. So that's what the schedule is looking like. And then we're getting back into the training workshop, and pretty much no races until the big one, which is July 12th. I guess I might as well just say the date. It's going to be July 12th. It's called the Liberty Mile here in Pittsburgh. Well, they've renamed it now to America's Mile. It used to be called the Liberty Mile. So anyway, I'll be participating in one of the heats there. And some of my family units will also be there to cheer me along. So I'm pretty excited for it. But yeah, so this last 5K on Saturday is just going to be like a kind of tempo, see what we can do. We'll be doing that with my dad and my brother. So looking forward to that. But what was I saying? Right, so swimming. So yeah, we're gonna do 2 cross training sessions. So I'm not gonna do any easy runs. Like my only runs this week are going to be this race on Saturday to count as my tempo, my intervals on Wednesday with the hill sprints, and then my long run. And I think next week I might do the same because I just need to work on my running form, and until then, it's probably best that I'm not getting too many miles. Like that maybe I'm keeping things easy. I'm going to have my hard days be hard still, but my easy days, I really need to keep the load off my legs to avoid injury. Cause that is the one thing I definitely do not want right now is another injury. So what happened with swimming on Father's Day on Sunday, I tried to go swimming and it did not go well. Unfortunately, I got in the water and immediately I felt like my finger was flying back off my hand. Like it seems like right now, you guys can see I got my finger in this hook position. It does not move from this. Like this is about what I can move it right now. But like I cannot straighten this finger out, and it feels like nothing ever could, except when I got in the water, and then it felt like I just forgot how much resistance water has. Water has 800 times more resistance than air, which I knew that logically. I just forgot what that was about to feel like, or what that was going to feel like, because I got in the water and felt like my finger was about to fly back and off this way off of my hand. So I got a couple strokes in, and pretty much I was pinning it in place of my thumb. On my left hand, because I knew that if I stopped doing that, I was going to have some serious problems. So I got down the lane. I came back and that was it. 2 lengths done. I was like, okay, this is not going to work, and I left. That was disappointing. But it makes sense. My tendon isn't strong enough. It's not ready yet for me to get back in the pool. But there is one little glimmer of hope, which is the idea that I can tape it to my other finger. I actually asked the physical therapist who's helping me now with my finger if that would be a good idea, and he was like, "Yep, that would be good. You can tape it to the middle finger and then see if that would help it more, because the middle finger does have the strength. So in theory, if they're well taped together, that should allow me to swim. So we're going to try it out. I'm not going to try to push the envelope. I'll try to do like an easy 500 on Friday. If that doesn't work, stick to the bike, and then as well on Sunday I'll try and bike. But yeah, so that's training going forward. Doing 5 days now a week, doing some different intervals, doing different tempos, trying to work on the running form. I'll be actually going down south for the 4th, so we'll also we'll be getting a little extra training in some heat and humidity. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So things are going in general well. It's a little setback on the swim. Like I was definitely sad the day of when the swimming went awry, but now I'm doing better. But it was a little disappointing. So we're just gonna keep pushing forward with that stuff, and hopefully it ends up well. But anyway, that's all for the updates. Sorry, this video got a lot longer than I wanted it to, but it is what it is. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the attention. If you have any comments or whatnot, you can leave those in the comments below. If you like the video, you can like it. If you want to see more, you can subscribe. I'm doing one of these every week on Tuesday. It's supposed to be. Hopefully we can get back to that next week. And that is all. I will see you all very soon with another video on the channel. See y'all.